Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is June the 7th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. It's been a good Saturday so far. We started off early. We got up. We went to the laundromat. Got our laundry in. Not too bad. Pretty easy. No problems. Post laundry, we went to the gym. Now, the gym has been busier. It was pretty busy for a Saturday. I unfortunately wasn't able to get my main machine, the Smith machine, but we improvised with the free weights. And overall, I feel like I got a good, solid, heavy pump, as we like to say for, our weekend. So I feel like it was a mission accomplished. Overall, the weight training went well. The cardio went well. So that's good. Then let's see, post that, we came home, had a little snack, and now we're here. We're yapping. So yeah, overall, things are good. I'm a little sleepy. Coffee's kind of wearing off, but, we're good. All things considered, we're good. Dare I say great. But no, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. All right. Our first story comes from the BBC. 3 killed in Kharkiv strike as Ukraine and Russia dispute prisoner swap timing. Ukraine and Russia are disputing the timing of a planned exchange of prisoners of war after reports suggested it could happen this weekend. Russia says Ukraine for an indefinite period, while Ukraine says Moscow claims do not correspond to reality or to previous agreements. This comes after Russia launched its biggest drone attack on Kharkiv, according to the mayor of Ukraine's second largest city. Emergency services say at least 3 people have been killed and another 22 injured, including a 1-month-old baby and a 14-year-old girl. It followed a round of intense strikes across Ukraine on Friday, when 6 people were killed and 80 injured. Russia says it was in response to a major Ukrainian drone attack on Sunday. Obviously we're starting off with some sad news, but I figured we go ahead and start with there and then move on to our next story. Coming out of the Guardian. California leaders condemn ICE raids in LA. We will not stand for this. The Department of Homeland Security conducted raids on multiple locations across Los Angeles on Friday, clashing with crowds of people who gathered to protest and prompting widespread criticism from California leaders. Mass agents were recorded pulling several people out of 2 LA area Home Depot stores and the clothing manufacturer Ambient Apparel's headquarters in LA's Fashion District. Immigration advocates said the raids also included 4 other locations, including a donut shop. There has not yet been confirmation of how many people were taken into custody during the coordinated sweeps. At an afternoon press conference, Angelica Salas, executive director for the Coalition of Humane Immigrant Rights, said at least 45 people were arrested without warrants. Our community is under attack and being terrorized. These are our workers, these are our fathers, these are mothers, and this has to stop. Immigration enforcement that is terrorizing our families throughout this country and picking up our people that we love must stop now, Salas told the crowd. The protest only grew as the afternoon wore on. By 6 p.m. local time, hundreds of people assembled around the federal building in downtown Los Angeles, where those taken into custody during the raids are being held. Earlier in the day, armed agents clad in heavy protective and tactical gear, including some who wore masks, could be seen on video and through aerial footage pushing individuals and trying to corral large groups that congregated or that congregated to challenge the raids. Smoke grenades were reportedly thrown near the crowds, and pepper spray was used as federal officers attempted to clear the area. As the demonstrations continued into the evening, video showed officers firing less lethal weapons toward protesters. Some people in the crowd attempted to block large armored trucks carrying FBI agents as they departed. One person reportedly threw eggs at the vehicles. Let's see here. I wanted to get this part here. The Los Angeles Fire Department was called to the scene to administer aid to protesters injured by agents and officers, which included the president of the California branch of Service Employees International Union, or CU, David Huerta. The organization said in a statement, he was detained and called for his immediate release. Huerta, who was injured and detained, released a statement to the Los Angeles Times from the hospital saying, "What happened to me is not about me. This is about something much bigger. This is about how we as a community stand together and resist the injustice that's happening. Hardworking people and members of our family and our community are being treated like criminals. We all collectively have to object to this madness because this is not justice," he added. "We call for an end to the cruelty, destructive, and indiscriminate ICE raids that are tearing apart our communities, disrupting our economy, and hurting all working people. Tia Orr, executive director of CU California, said. I just wanted to read a couple of quotes, just kind of describe the situation. They're really going in hard in terms of ICE in any and all areas, whether they are Republican, conservative strongholds, or they are liberal ones. It is really unfortunate to see such a heavy hand and just these hard, wide sweeps that they're just doing through cities and places. Let's see here. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? And more or less, like, in response to, all of this, Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, who has functioned as one of the chief architects of the administration's draconian immigration crackdowns, wrote, "You have no say in this at all. Federal law is supreme, and federal law will be enforced," which was more or less in regards to, like, Karen Bass and I think Gavin Newsom and stuff, just kind of speaking out against this. But it's unfortunate that, like, this is the way it's coming down, from up top. So these motherfuckers can just come in and try to just take people, like decent night, broad daylight, don't matter. Let's see here. I think that's more or less all I wanted to cover, but, I just wanted to put my heart out to the people who are really going out and putting their lives on the line. They're putting themselves on the line to say, hey, we're not okay with this, and we're so upset, and, we want to defend the people of this community because they matter to us, that we are out here in droves, that is very commendable. So definitely just wanted to say that. Let's go ahead and move to our next story from the Associated Press. Ex-police chief and convicted killer who escaped from an Arkansas prison has been captured. Excuse me. A former police chief and convicted killer known as the Devil in the Ozarks was captured by law enforcement 1.5 miles or 2.4 kilometers northwest of the prison he escaped from, following a massive, nearly 2-week-long manhunt in the rugged mountains of northern Arkansas, authorities announced Friday. Grant Hardin, a former police chief in the small town of Gateway, near the Arkansas-Missouri border, was serving lengthy sentences for murder and rape. Eventually, his notoriety led to a TV documentary, Devil in the Ozarks. Hardin briefly attempted to run from officers when he saw them approach Friday afternoon, but he was quickly tackled to the ground, said Rand Champion, a spokesperson for the Arkansas prison system. He'd been on the run for a week and a half and probably didn't have any energy left in him, he added. Hardin's identity was confirmed through fingerprinting, the Izard County Sheriff's Office said in a Facebook post. Also, apparently, I had saw that they, like, AI filter added or whatever, like, a little, like, fucking beard for him. I don't know. I don't know if that was really effective, but hey, I am glad that they got his ass. There's no indication that Hardin was injured, though he will be checked for dehydration and other medical problems. Let's see. Scrolling ahead here. Hardin had been held at the Calico Rock prison since 2017 after pleading guilty to first-degree murder in a fatal shooting. In order to escape, he impersonated a corrections officer in dress and manner, according to a court document. A prison officer in one of the guard towers opened a secure gate, allowing him to walk out of the facility. So now we at least know how he got out. Like, this disguise was so good, and he was like walking out with like some kind of equipment or something like that. So people, I guess, from a person from the tower was like, okay, yeah, that's clearly a guy. That's clearly a guard. Let him on through. But they didn't check him. They didn't run any kind of like verification at any given point. So he is literally just allowed to waltz out because he just had this uniform. We also don't know how he got that uniform. So I feel like that's a mystery that still needs to be solved here. Let's see. Searchers had been using bloodhounds, officers on horseback, drones, and helicopters in their hunt for Hardin since he escaped on May 25th. Shortly after the escape, a bloodhound found, then quickly lost Hardin's scent when heavy rains blew through the area. The bloodhound tracked Hardin's path for less than a quarter of a mile, after which could have gone in any direction. Let's see. Scrolling ahead a little bit more here. Hardin pleaded guilty in 2017 to first-degree murder for the killing of James Appleton, 59. Appleton worked for the Gateway Water Department when he was shot in the head February 23rd, 2017, near Garfield. Police found Appleton's body inside a car. Hardin was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Now, from what I heard, he was pretty fucking cold-blooded about it. Like, I don't know if he had like some kind of beef, dispute with this dude, and he just blows his shit off. And then, like, I think goes, collects his family, like, you know, takes him out to dinner, says, hey, I'm probably going to be gone for a while, like, at some point. And then, like, he goes ahead and goes to jail. Now, there's an added case that he catches. Hardin's DNA was also matched to the 1997 rape of a teacher at an elementary school in Rogers, north of Fayetteville. He was sentenced to 50 years for that crime. So they were able to match his DNA to another case. I think this person was like the wife of a police officer. So they went kind of out of their way to preserve the DNA in that case, and it held out. And it worked out so that way they were able to tack this one on top of it. But crazy that, you know, despite two major cases, like this guy is, you know, a known problem, but he's in medium security and he just gets to waltz out into the unknown, into the wilderness or whatever. Let's see here. Though Hardin was police chief in Gateway for just 4 months, he had served as an officer in multiple communities around northwest Arkansas, his police records show. In his first job as a police officer 35 years ago in Fayetteville, Hardin struggled almost immediately, his supervisor said. He was dismissed by Fayetteville police, but kept getting hired for other law enforcement jobs in northwest Arkansas over the years. Hardin worked about 6 months at a Huntsville police department before resigning, but records do not give a reason for his resignation. He later worked at Eureka Springs Police Department from 1993 to 1996. Former police chief Earl Hyatt said Hardin resigned because Hyatt was going to fire him over incidents that included the use of excessive force. Which is, it's crazy that he was allowed to have a job, lose a job in the same field. There's no cross-referencing or like talking about this guy, like, well, why did this guy get fired? Let's check up on this before we hire him in this police department. Nah, he's fine. We need the bodies. It's okay. You know, he knows what he's doing. And then he just gets a new job there and then gets fired there. Once again, this is a trend. It's a pattern. And seemingly this guy kind of just goes around unchecked. So, I mean, crazy that he did these two things that we know of. And he was just so like just malicious about it. I don't really have the words to really like describe how cold this guy seems. But he was able to do this and get away with it. But I'm glad that he's at least back in custody. So that's good. He is not running around. they talked to like some of the family who was involved. And I guess we'll just actually run that back. Cheryl Tillman, Appleton's sister, was with her mother and sister at a flea market in Ozark, Missouri, when law enforcement called to tell her Hardin had been captured. Tillman is also the mayor of Gateway, the 450-person town where Hardin was briefly police chief. Tillman told the Associated Press that Hardin's capture was a big sigh of relief for her whole family. We don't have to walk around turning around all the time, thinking somebody's on our back, Tillman said, emphasizing her appreciation for the officers who helped capture Hardin. So yeah, glad this guy's back to being locked up. Seemed like a really evil piece of shit, but we'll leave that there for now. Our last story, it's about some eggs. We had some bad beef yesterday. We got to close out with some bad eggs today. Whole kitchen's getting rotten. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our last break and we'll close it out. All right. From NBC News, at least 1.7 million eggs recalled as CDC and FDA investigate multi-state salmonella outbreak. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, are investigating a multi-state salmonella outbreak linked to at least 1.7 million eggs, according to news released on Saturday. The brown cage, free and brown certified organic eggs were distributed by the August Egg Company from February 3rd through May 15th to retailers in 9 states: California, Nevada, Washington, Arizona, Nebraska, New Mexico, Illinois, Indiana, and Wyoming, per the FDA. In an announcement issued Friday, the Hillmar, California-based distribution company recalled 1.7 million eggs, which have sell-by dates ranging from March 4th to June 19th, and were sold at retailers including Walmart and Safeway, as well as under many different brands that can be seen here, and they have a link. Let's see. So far, the outbreak has sickened 79 people. They have several states where it's mentioned. Looks like Ohio dodged a bullet. At least 21 people have been hospitalized and no deaths have been reported. So at least the last part's good, but obviously any kind of form of salmonella being confirmed and out there is not good. Good that it's being tracked, but bad that it's out there and actually like causing a lot of, grief and a lot of, potential hospital time for people. And potentially worse, you know what I mean? Like, once again, knock on some wood. Hopefully no one dies, but that shit can always happen. So it's definitely no good. Obviously, if you have any eggs that fall under this category from August Farms or whatever, throw those out, check them, and then, or take it to where you got it from and, get that refund or exchange. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that is where I'll leave it for today. Watch your eggs, watch your peoples, be careful out there. But yeah, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's a free action, really helps out. Follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever listening platform you prefer. Let's see. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. But thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.